Your S&C work now has done a number of great things to improve speed, power, endurance, economy, efficiency, injury prevention, all those types of things. When you're training in the other areas of swim, bike, run are increasing now, this is where all of a sudden the great habits you've produced can just start to slide. So you've been training the right amount, all of a sudden training sessions just start to become a little bit hit and miss. Missing the odd week, missing the odd session, all of a sudden sessions aren't really happening and they stop. And it's really important to know the reality of what actually happens to your body when that occurs. And that's why I'm going to use this little whiteboard. So I'll type it out as we go through and draw the lines just to give you a general idea of exactly what we're talking about. So I'm going to share the screen first of all, and that should bring us up a nice whiteboard. There we go. And you should be able to see that on your screen. Let's just go full screen. Perfect. So there's a couple of things that we're gonna look at. The one I'm going to call stress. Now, stress is just simply like it might be the weights you have on a bar or the number of reps that you're doing. So that's going to be one of our variables we're going to be looking at. The other one I'm going to use the scientific word of adaptation. That's basically your body adapting, improving strength, increasing power, increasing endurance, whatever that is. That's adaptation. So that's like improving basically. And then the final one is just going to be weeks. So this is just going to be the duration. So kind of like week 1, week 2. Now, again, this is not the most perfectly drawn, perfectly executed graph, but it's just to get across the fundamental message, which is imperative to understand. So let's get my lines drawn. Okay, the first line I'm going to draw, I'm going to do this one in red. There we go. I'm getting fancy with the colours. So let's say week 1, and as we go across the bottom, we go from kind of week 1 to, I don't know, it could be week 20. This could be like over a 6-month period or something like that. So what we do over the weeks, we increase the stress. Now that could be increasing the reps that we're doing at a certain weight, or maybe we're holding the reps that we're doing and we're just increasing the weight. So over the weeks, it's getting harder, the stress is getting bigger. Now, as we do in our TTP, we have a little deload, which is a little drop off where the volume drops away a bit. And then what happens? We pick it up again, and then we deload. And essentially, over the weeks, you can see the stress builds as we're getting stronger, whether that's because of the reps that we're doing or whether it's because, just go back up to there. The reps we're doing or because of the weight we're doing. Now, again, it's not a perfectly drawn line, but you get the idea. We build up, we deload, we build up, we deload. And as a consequence of that, what happens to our body? Well, again, without reading between the lines, in essence, what it means, if we did a line of best fit, we're going to have an approximate increase in things like strength, power, economy, all the things that matters to you as a triathlete. Of course, there's some little peaks and troughs in between, but the general trends, that is what we're going for. And that is what you're achieving at the moment. So the question is if that red line, the stress that you're placing on your body changes, would you expect the green line, how your body adapts, to stay the same? Now, logically, you'd say, well, of course it wouldn't, because what you're inputting into your body, stress, is changing. So consequently, the output is going to be different. But the human brain and psychology doesn't sometimes work that clearly. And often we find when training and the demands of training, particularly swim, bike and run, increase, we can become blissfully ignorant of actually, we kind of like to think that even though the red line has changed, so maybe because we're doing slightly less, we're only doing half a session, or maybe we're kind of doing a session every 2 weeks. The red line's changed, but we like to think, oh yeah, well, hopefully the green line just stays the same, or maybe it just stays flat. So I'd say if I was to draw the green line now, let's go for a different color. Let's go for a yellow line. I think, let's say we start off and we're doing the red line below. So we're doing it properly. You're getting your sessions in each week. We've got that consistency. Then all of a sudden, let's say, let's go back to the red line. Here we go. Let's say from this point here, all of a sudden, you start missing a session, and then you do one, but it's not as big because you've missed a week, so you're not going to be lifting as much. Then you kind of miss another week, and all of a sudden, This red line from about what, halfway in to 6 months has completely changed. So if we have a little look at this yellow line then, so the yellow line would have gone to here. This yellow line now will start to respond to what you're putting into the body. And what do we start to see? We start to see the body detrain. What most people like to think, though, when this second red line happens, is that they like to think that they maintain. I'm afraid that's not how the body works. Think of it like this. If you were, I will keep this really simple. Let's say, for example, you swam, ran, and cycled twice a week in each discipline, so you did 6 training sessions. Let's say all of a sudden, 3 months in, you suddenly start to do only 1 session in each. So you go from 6 sessions a week to 3 sessions a week. Would you expect your fitness, whether that's your lactate threshold, your VO2 max, whatever, would you expect your fitness to stay the same? Would you expect it to improve, or would you expect it to go backwards? I think most of you would grasp the notion of, look, if you're going to reduce how frequently you're doing endurance work, you're going to get unfit. So think about when you get injured and you can't do as much, your fitness goes backwards quickly. And often there's this belief, I think, that, we come back to the screen here, stop sharing. Okay. Often there's this belief, I think, with strength work that you can stop it and somehow the rules of physiology and biology and Mother Nature suddenly change specially because we're an endurance athlete. They don't. Your body basically sees, when you train, whether that's endurance work, strength work, it sees, right, I'm getting a stimulus, I'm being stressed, and it adapts based on that. So if all of a sudden that stimulus and stress is reduced, it's going to adapt differently. And what we know, as we've said, it doesn't matter whether it's your endurance, it doesn't matter whether it's your strength work. Eventually, if you miss, say, a week's worth of sessions, so beyond what you do as a normal taper, you're going to detrain. The strength gains that you had are going to decrease because you're weaker, your power drops. Because your power drops, your economy on your swim, bike and run is going to drop. The stability in your joints is going to drop, which means you're again at greater injury risk. And all of the great work that you've done previously, let's see if we've got that screen still. No, we haven't. Probably have, but it's hidden away. All of that great work you would have done over that 3 months, it's gone. It's disappeared. And it goes quickly. So the big thing I'm trying to illustrate here is that you can actually see honestly how strength work, if you stop it because your training schedule gets busy, what will happen? All the hard work you've done it'll go, it'll disappear, just like it would do if you stopped doing all your swimming and you stopped doing all your running. So even though that sounds really simple, that's something that people fail to want to recognize. They want to think, well, I've done a really good 3 months. I'll stop doing stuff. I'll do a little bit for 3 months and I'm going to maintain. You won't. Okay. I'd love to say you would. You don't. I know that through coaching. We know that through science. So what's really important